Hello and welcome to a new episode of Car Loop TV. I'm here with Kat from Capacita Customs.
Hiya!
And today we're going to wrap the roof on my Scirocco.
Yes, gloss black.
In gloss black. So the first thing we've got to do is actually remove the aerial off the roof here. To do that, Kat is just finding where the bolts are to lower the head lining so we get access from the inside. Kat is just taking off all the interior trim just to be able to lower the headliner, and you've just taken that one off.
Yeah, first piece is just a flat piece that goes up here. You just need to get like a trim removal tool, get it in to be able to pull it down, give it a quick tug, and you've got 5 metal clips. So there's 3 screws on this panel, because these 2 panels need to come off to be able to get this one off. This little bit, pull it down. So there's 1 screw in there. There's a screw in the recess, which is right up there.
Yeah, we can see that.
And then there's just 1 here. There's the 3 screws, and then this should just pop off. We'll probably need to pop out the light on this side as well, because a lot of people do actually trim around the aerials, but you don't get a good enough finish, in my opinion. It's much better to tuck things behind, remove things that need to be removed. You end up with a better result that lasts a lot longer, which is what everybody wants.
Well, in an ideal world, absolutely. And the wrap that you're putting on, what type of wrap is that?
So it's 3M 2080 high gloss black. When it goes on, it will look like it's getting very scratched because it's actually got a protective layer over it, so it helps protect the vinyl whilst applying it. Because like, obviously when you're squeegeeing it, you have to use quite a bit of pressure to stick it onto the paintwork. But then you take the protective layer off and it's all shiny and glossy underneath.
Lovely.
But we do that right at the very end.
Okay. And obviously we've done a video together before when we wrapped Sarah.
Yes.
I'll put a link at the top of the video for this one, when we were following the sparkliest ever Z4 ever. So have a look at that video as well. But I was learning a little bit about wrapping at that time, just watching you do it, and all the after heat that you have to give it to.
Yeah, post heating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that basically resets the memory of the vinyl into the shape that you've actually just wrapped it to. So that's the purpose of post heating.
I've just noticed how sparkly your Instagram logo is on your.
Yeah. Well, it's the same as the customs.
Just let us all see that.
There.
Capacita Customs.
And on the back.
And on the back.
Got to love a bit of glitter, mate.
We've got that panel off now.
Yeah, so the one at the top is obviously removed. Now the one at the side, there was the 3 bolts. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. And then it's literally just a case of putting your fingers up behind it and just giving it a tug, because it's just got a couple of tabs across there. And you can see where they go in along here. And then it's just sat down here, because obviously it's still got the seatbelt looped in it. We don't take that off. That just creates far too much work. Next is to get this C-pillar panel off. So I've popped the airbag logo out, which sat in there. Just need to get like a little screwdriver or a pry tool, and it's just got 4 little clips on the back of it that just hold it into place. And then there is a metal spring in there somewhere, which you need a little flathead screwdriver in just to be able to prise it, and then this panel will then come off. It has to be quite long and thin, giggity, to be able to get it through. So there is quite a small gap to get through. So obviously you've only got the airbag hole to get through, but it has to come through here, and you're basically needing to push this down just so it pulls away, because it goes into this metal square hole here, and then it literally all just pulls off.
We're short on space in there, so we've dropped the back seat so Kat can sit on the back seats and have access, due to my subwoofer taking up half the boot.
It's pretty, but it's pretty annoying.
So have we got access to pull the headliner down now?
Yes, so now all of this around the edge is off. There should now be enough room. Oh, there's just a little clip here that needs to be just pulled out, just to drop it down, because if you don't pull all this out and you just try and pull it down from the middle, you're going to end up with creases along here, and then creases down the middle, and creases and headliners you can never really get out. And it would be a case of having to replace the whole headliner for the whole car, which is even harder work.
And it's in good shape at the moment, so we don't really need that.
Yeah, Why break it if it's taken, what, 10-15 minutes to get all these side bits off?
It's easy when you know how.
Absolutely. And then the aerial bolt is literally there. It's about 22mm, I think. It's 22 or 24. And then it's just loosening it off, and we can get prepping the roof ready to wrap it.
Brilliant.
And she's off.
What have we got?
So it's 22mm bit that needs to, and then this clicks on in a certain position, which is normally, I think it's that way. So when it goes back on, it all lines back up, and then these bits basically grab into the bodywork of the car.
And then it comes off as easily as that.
Exactly.
So there's no wiring on that, is there?
No, I think there might have to be, but for your one there isn't.
The radio does work, okay.
Must have DAB then, and this is just for show. Next step is to clean it. Obviously there's loads of contaminants underneath the aerial, so we need to give it a clean, give it a clay to make sure any tiny like little contaminants that are on the car that you can't normally see but you can feel.
Because it looks quite clean, doesn't it?
It does, but I'll show you the clay bar once I've done it, and you'll see actually just how dirty your roof actually is. And that just helps with the vinyl to stick down and show less imperfections.
You're just cleaning underneath because the wrap will sort of hook in underneath there, will it?
Yeah, so I'll be tucking it in behind the rubber seal, because then at least it's a nice tidy edge, it can be tucked behind it. But to make it stick, you need to make sure that all dirt, which is all down there, which never normally gets cleaned, is all completely removed.
Can we just see your nails very quickly, because I did just notice them. They're very pretty.
They are.
Holiday nails.
Holiday nails indeed.
So you've got the clay bar out now, Kat, and you're just going over and just cleaning it from any contaminants.
That is correct. So I've done, well, probably just about a quarter of the roof, and you can see all that there is how dirty the roof was.
Even though it looked clean?
Yep.
You noted that there was a slight little stone chip just on the front leading edge, just on there.
Yeah, just there.
And you said you can get rid of that by rubbing the paint down to make it flat, but otherwise it will slightly show in the vinyl.
That's correct. So anything that's like slightly, like more that you can feel like with a nail, you will still see through vinyl, because vinyl is actually quite thin.
In that strong wind we had last week, you might notice that a slate tile came down and just scratched my roof here. And it is not very deep, it's not dented. Again, we could have taken that option to rub it down, but it's not really worth it, is it? It's would be.
No, I mean the vinyl, because you're going gloss black, it will hide it, because obviously at the moment it's very noticeable because it's black. But a lot of these will be hidden from the vinyl, but ones that are just slightly deeper that you can like.
It's microns deep, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but then the vinyl is only microns thick, so you might still see elements of it, but it will still hide it a lot more than it is currently. Once you've clay on it, you have to wax it afterwards, because it does like strip wax off as well. Come over here, and if you run your like the backs of your fingers across this bit, it kind of like catches a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas then when you do it on the roof, it's a lot smoother.
It is smoother.
Yeah, that's what the clay does. It gets rid of all of the contaminants and just makes it feel like glass.
Have I just put them back in now by touching it?
That's why I'm wiping it off. They won't be like properly in, because it's like tree sap, which doesn't always come off with just a normal wash.
The wrap for my car is in this box. Gloss black.
Here you can just see where the masking tape was. There is a clear protective film over the top of it, so when installing it and going at it with a squeegee, any scratches that it makes will all come off with the protective layer.
We're just measuring out the roof at the moment. What do you think, guys? Should I wrap the whole of my car? Look how glittery this wrap is. Not that different as a change of colour for my car, but look at that. Oh yeah. Post a comment in the comment section below if you think that I should wrap my whole car.
So it's knifeless tape. It's a thin piece of cotton that runs down the middle, and it's actually the cotton that cuts the vinyl. And it saves you having to run a knife down on bodywork, and just helps protect the car. Always try and make sure that you've got enough on the end, so when I do it, I twist the cotton around my finger and then pull it. Because when you pull it tight, it just wants, the cotton just wants to wiggle. So it's a case of laying it down gently, and then once it's kind of tacked in various places, you then just go along and just firmly press it down, but you don't run your finger across it because it will just want to snake. glassing. So you're basically getting it so the whole roof is completely flat and like finger free. And well, I've got to say fingers, these are what we call fingers. And then it will just be a case of once it's all completely glassed, just squeegee it and then trim it.
Now you've got it pretty flat and now you're squeegeeing it as well. So
yeah, literally. So it's now all flat on the car. So now it's just a case of just putting the pressure on and actually sticking it on, because it's only literally just floating over the roof at the moment. So now it's just a case of squeegeeing it out. And with this light you can see where you've been and where you've still got left to go. And always start from the middle and work your way out.
So you're just rubbing it into that, where that cut line was?
Yeah, just kind of squeezing it in. Like, I'll go over the edge with heat before I cut it and let it cool down before it cuts. Because you should never cut when it's hot.
So I'm just showing on a close-up here, you can see slight scratches that the squeegee has done.
Yep.
But we've got to remember this has got a protective film on the top of it. So, and also under this light, I was saying to Kat, it looks a little bit grey. Again, you might not pick that up on camera, but again, once that protective coat comes off, it will release the gloss black.
Mm-hmm. This bit at the moment is just going over it with some heat, because what it does is if there's any air trapped inside, it highlights whereabouts it is, because obviously heat rises, so it warms it up and wants to push it up. So it's just going over quickly, just with a little bit of heat, just to see if any bubbles come up before then trimming it down, and then post-heating once it's all trimmed and all stuck nicely. Plastic, make sure the plastic stuck back down because you need tension. Then making sure that there was enough. And just one quick movement, because if you stop and then try and start it again, you'll notice like a jaggedy line. And it literally cuts the line on. It's just a case of making sure that you get both half of it out, because it cuts the plastic as well. Making sure that you get both halves out, because one half of it is obviously under the vinyl, and if you leave it in there, it will never stick.
Just cutting out the aerial hole.
Just using the edge of the panel as the guide for the blade.
You were saying your knife is weighted?
This one is, yeah. It doesn't really benefit for doing this. However, if I wanted to, I'm not going to do it, but if I wanted to, I could cut that in half just from the weight of the actual scalpel going across, because it's just heavy enough just to be able to cut through vinyl.
But not touch the paint underneath?
But not touch the paint underneath. You can already see a difference from there to there, possibly on that side as well.
Shinier.
So what I've done here is a little trick for tucking into very small rubber areas, like down here, like where the seal is. is I get a bit of the actual backing paper for the film itself, fold it in half, use the nice straight edge as the leading corner to get in to behind the rubber seal, and it's a case of just using a thin
Oh, so
squeegee.
you're actually underneath the rubber seal.
So the rubber is just there,
Yeah.
and this is, as you can see from this corner, slightly below it. So this will now be tucked down to the bottom of where the roof is, but behind the rubber seal. It just gives a nice clean edge, and then once it's all tucked in, there will be a little bit that's flapping up, then it will just be trimmed, and then we'll be good to go.
Okay. Tucked it all in there now, Kat, and that,
Yep.
You're happy with that?
Yeah, I am indeed. It's all nicely all tucked in, all along, all behind the rubber.
The same situation at the back, and is that as easy or more difficult, Kat?
I'd say this one's easier. What I'm literally doing at the moment is the edge of the blade is just flush with the spoiler. So I'm using the spoiler edge, but not angling the blade towards the spoiler, because obviously we don't want to cut the spoiler. Just using it as the guide, so then when it goes down, there's a nice, neat edge where the black finishes.
And for those that have watched previous videos on this car, you'll notice that the teeth have disappeared off of the roof here.
Finally.
They came off quite quickly, actually. Ready for the big reveal, taking the top protective cover off.
Case of just running over edge lines about 4 times very slowly, and then that just sets the edges all in place. Stops it shrinking, resets the memory.
So that's the job complete. Well done, Kat. You've done a fabulous job. All that's left for us now is to, well, not me, Kat, to put the car back together, and I won't bore you with that. It's just the reverse of taking it apart. But if you like the video and you want to see more, subscribe. If you found this helpful with regards to a how-to, give it a like. Thanks, guys. Bye.
In this episode, we're at Deutsche Tech in Milton Keynes. If you are a regular viewer to this channel, you might recognise this place as the same shop that fabricated the full stainless steel exhaust for the E30 M3 recreation project car.